Hey Ravens, welcome to this week's episode of Raven Roundup. I'm August Bertel alongside Andrew Tracy and Ben Blades. This week we'll be talking about the FIFA World Cup, National Hockey League, and the 4 projected playoffs appearance in college football. So, the FIFA World Cup has many different teams that have made it in the past years. This year, they don't have USA or Italy. Blades, do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, it's a big deal because the FIFA World Cup is a very prestigious award to get and be able to be a part of. And being that the United States being a young program, they're trying to host it in the next couple years, next 10 years. It's a big deal. And then also Italy, who's just missed it since 1958, hasn't missed it. That's a big deal. So I think this is going to be a major impact on soccer in reality. So yeah.
Yeah, like how will this affect soccer in the U.S., like youth programs and stuff like that?
Soccer and youth programs, it's a big deal in the United States because it's such a young community. The MLS has kind of just like started up in the past 20 years. And being that it's such a major sport around the world and it's not that big in the United States, it's taking on a lot of big effects because it's going to deter a lot of kids away from wanting to play it and wanting to be a part of it because the U.S. is such a it's kind of their country and it's what they're passionate about. And now that their country isn't even in the World Cup, it's going to take a major toll.
I completely agree about that. I believe that they did not live up to their name in the past, and that will affect them in the future. So now on to National Hockey League. National Hockey League has a top team that's an extension team. This is not very usual, as Andrew has the story.
Well, first of all, they're an expansion team, so they don't have the best players, they don't have the best history, they have 0 records, 0 coaches, anything. And for them to be one of the top 6 teams, it's amazing. But after a while, they'll start getting tired. So my prediction for the year is that they'll just go downhill. I would like to see them above 500 by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, going into the year, I was pretty lenient on the Golden Knights. But after seeing the expansion draft, how they picked up Marc-Andre Fleury in their first pick, really good goaltender, former Stanley Cup champion for the past 2 years with the Pittsburgh Penguins. But they don't have a good attacking offense. That's a major problem going on to the later of the season because that's all that you need kind of going into the playoffs. And you need to be very physical, and I don't see that physicality for this Golden Knights team. I do see them being like an 8 seed in the playoffs in the Western Conference, but I do not see them going into the Stanley Cup.
All right, now on to college football, the top 4 projected teams for the playoffs. At 4, we have Clemson. At 3, we have Oklahoma. 2, we have Miami. And 1, we have Alabama. So Clemson is a great team for their great defense and good special team. And then,
I mean, they're especially led by one of the major comeback heroes for Olathe, kind of, which is Isaiah Simmons with going to Clemson. He's really leading the team kind of in tackles, but offensively, they look good. Then there's Oklahoma, led by Baker Mayfield. He's just an incredible Heisman candidate himself, going down, having a 600-yard game against Oklahoma State, 60 points a game, game. So it's kind of crazy.
So, Andrew, what do you think about Miami and Alabama?
Well, first of all, Miami's a great team, but you can't forget Alabama. They've always had a really good recruiting class, and there's always a super solid team.
Yeah, I mean, Miami's led by that turnover chain, the little chain that they have on, and whenever they get a turnover, it's a very extremely strong defense. But Alabama did show some weakness against Mississippi State this week. They were losing going into the 4th quarter and really showed some teams that we could see them lose.
They could, but they can also pull back and keep this playoff appearance at number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see a Clemson-Alabama rematch from last year. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I would love to see that.
Yep. All right, that's it for this week's episode of Raven Roundup. Check back in on us next week.